I'm in my late 40s and having problems with female organs, one after the other since 2016, including the removal of uterine polyps twice, HPV positive, abnormal cervical cells, which were removed, and pelvic pain. A macrobiotic practitioner suggested that I avoid all dairy products, eggs, and white flour, which is really hard because I like them all. Do you think it's a good diet plan? And can you shed some light on diets for someone like me? And she scored high on the cortisol and the fluctuating blood sugar. Okay, so now, look, sometimes we all have to do things we don't want to do and they're hard, right? And this is one of the reasons why I am doing my little talk on Friday about a few mindset shifts that I have used to try and implement healthy habits, because I'm sure you all know and wouldn't be surprised to know I know lots about healthy habits, but that doesn't mean that I do them all the time, because it's all about what's going on up here and your mindset and the messages you're giving yourself. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about on Friday. But I would suggest your macrobiotic practitioner is someone who's seen you. I haven't. So if that's what they've recommended, why don't we just play a little game and give it a go, right? Not forever. This is the problem, I think. You start thinking, oh my God, I've got to do this forever and I really like it. And now I'm really upset. And what about Easter and chocolate and Easter eggs and cake and all these things that I like, right? What am I going to do on my birthday? How am I going to have a birthday cake? We're going too far into the future. What I would do is start with 3 weeks. Have a look at a time in your diary where you don't have too many social engagements, which is all the time at the moment, but it won't be for long, hopefully. And then I would book that time in. I'd be really clear on what I'm doing. If I had an appointment for dinner, I would get the menu in advance and see what I could eat. I would literally be that strict on it. If there isn't anything on the menu, I would call up the restaurant and say, I've got special dietary requirements. Can you make me something? It sounds a bit OCD, but if it's going to help you stick to your plan and make you feel good about yourself and not feel like, oh, because what I find, we'll talk about this on Friday, it's like we all set ourselves up to fail, right? So we say we're going to do something and then we don't do it. And then we feel rubbish about ourselves. And it's all like, oh, I shouldn't bother because I can't do it anyway. So I would set it up in this way that I think would be really helpful to you. And in terms of the high cortisol and the blood sugars, the one thing I wouldn't recommend doing, which a lot of people do in their diet these days, is cut out all carbs. I think your body needs some carbohydrates. It doesn't have to be bread if you're cutting out white flour, but things like sweet potatoes, normal potatoes, brown rice, brown pasta, rice pasta, things like that. They could all still be really helpful because your cortisol, your adrenals need nourishment, right? So you want to make sure you're having, just think of your plate as a third protein, third veg, third carbs, and also make sure you're getting your healthy fats. That's really important as well when your adrenals are quite undernourished. And especially if you think you've got a problem with the blood sugar fluctuating, you're going to need these things to keep the blood sugar steady. So if you just, people get great results on keto, but keto I don't find is very helpful for cortisol. So get the cortisol sorted first, and then if you want to do a bit of keto, go for it. But I wouldn't do that while you think there's a cortisol issue. Okay, melatonin. Oh my gosh, I feel like I knew subconsciously this was coming because I'd already read your question. So I recently purchased melatonin 1 milligram in the US. Is it safe to take melatonin supplements every night for an extended period of time? So the research says, because melatonin is licensed in the UK for very old people or babies, kids, right? But it's not licensed for anyone in between. So the advice and the guidance says that you only need to not take melatonin for 7 days in a month for it to regulate your system back and not downregulate your receptors. I'm not sure on that, to be honest. It just doesn't sound right to me. So what I generally tell people to do is to have 1 or 2 days off a month. It can often happen naturally if you go to bed late one day or you just forget or you don't have your melatonin on you. But other than that, I think it's fine to take for an extended period of time. I do remember in the 90s, it was all like that, oh, melatonin's bad. It's just the same as taking diazepam. Like, don't do it. Not true at all. And in fact, more recent studies have shown, like, especially for preventing Alzheimer's or dementia, we need our restful sleep. So actually taking melatonin can be a good thing because it can help with the restful sleep. So your body's rested, your mind is rested, your body has enough deep sleep to recover and rejuvenate and regenerate the cells. So melatonin's not a bad thing. I just try and have 1 or 2 days off a month.